You have 15 minutes, but if possible, maybe you can make
Yes, I'll keep it brief.
Okay.
Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me here. It's a privilege to speak with you all. Today, I will be examining the influence of the Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy on the British Union of Fascists. The British Union of Fascists, who are they? They were the most prominent interwar British fascist party, and their prominent leader, who was an ex-MP and an aristocrat, where there's some interesting pictures of him on the slide, is called Oswald Mosley. This presentation covers 2 years. In each period, there's a change in the extent of anti-Semitism in the party. The presentation uses BUF newspapers as this plays out the anti-Semitism. The reason for this is because the British Union of Fascists sent newspapers, all their literature in fact, to Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. So Mosley knew that they were being read. Oswald Mosley was also in charge of the paper's content. The early days, the party was anti-Semitic from its outset, and there's several examples which prove this. Probably the most prominent is a draft copy of, which you can see on the screen, his doctrine of fascism, the Greater Britain, and there was reference to Jewish banking houses in the draft, which was taken out due to advice from a friend and replaced with alien finance. Evidence of anti-Semitism, there's many in the first few months, but the paper, unfortunately for me, didn't come to print until the February of 1933, so it was 5 months after the movement started, in October 1932. Mosley abused Jews in his speech, and his members attacked Jews. And the movement banned anti-Semitism in the April of 1933, which seems quite odd, seeing as they were anti-Semitic. But the reason for this was funding from Mussolini. The previous month, Mosley went to Mussolini and asked for funding. Now you may wonder why Mussolini would be interested in a British fascist party. And the reason for this is because in 1933 he had a new kid on the block in the name of Adolf Hitler in the Nazi party. And for the first time in over a decade, he had competition for his numero uno spot of the #1 fascist. Mussolini gave Mosley 5k a month, which is 200,000 euros in today's money, for 18 months. And Mussolini demanded loyalty from the BUF and to not be anti-Semitic, because at the time Mussolini was not anti-Semitic, well, not openly anti-Semitic. There's a debate of whether he was anti-Semitic at all, or whether he was always anti-Semitic. The papers lauded Mussolini for the rest of the year, and kept saying for several months that it's not an anti-Semitic organisation. But in autumn, Italian funds were not forthcoming, and Mosley complained that he had to rely on canteen and subscriptions to fund his movement. At the same time, another potential funding opportunity came in the way of Hitler. Hitler sent an officer to Britain to monitor and report back to him the state of British fascism. And Mosley managed to meet this person and told him how much he admired Hitler and they wanted a close relationship. And he sent a contingent to the first Nuremberg rally, which you can see there on the slide, and they were instructed to establish links with the Nazi party. However, the officer in question questioned Mosley and the BUF's commitment to anti-Semitism. And they even accused the BUF of being paid by the Jews. So this obviously left Mosley in a quandary of where to take the paper next. Did he stay with Mussolini and hope money will come, or did he go to the Nazis and hope money will come from them? And this played out quite prominently in the papers. There's a slide there, which is late 1933, says, "Shall Jews drag Britain into war?" Now this was a change of policy for the BUF, and it basically said that Jews were warmongers and Hitler was a man of peace. Interestingly, 2 weeks later, the paper backtracked on this article and said that they didn't really mean it. But at the same time, the paper praised Jews in Italy, and there's several other conflicting articles and statements that the paper say over the latter months of 1933. In fact, in December of 1933, the paper said, "Some say we are anti-Semitic, some say we are not. We prefer to believe neither." In January, again desperate for money, Hitler wasn't really putting up with any of the BUF's pleas. Mosley went to Mussolini and asked for a cash injection. Mussolini reluctantly gave him it, but told him to stop being anti-Semitic. The result, as before, overtly pro-Mussolini, and the papers said that it did not have any problem with Jews, and the Jews were an irrelevant question. In fact, the paper was even sympathetic to Jews and said that Britain should welcome refugees, Jewish refugees escaping from a continent, as long as they don't steal British jobs. Now, in May 1934, the paper announced that Jews were banned from the movement. So within 1 year, Jews were accepted, and they didn't have a problem, to being banned totally from the movement. Now, the paper released a tirade of abuse towards the Jews. There's some examples on the board. But basically, Jews were the hidden hand of the Jew was behind every single ill in Britain and in the world. And Mosley, later in that year, Mosley pronounced war on Jews. The overt anti-Semitism continued until the war, when the members were interned. Now, why was there this sudden change of stance? Why the hatred towards the Jews? Scholars disagree about this, but from studying this from a transnational perspective, it seems quite clear. The reason, again, was financial. Mussolini, as I mentioned earlier, agreed to fund the movement for 18 months. Even though his funding was intermittent, the funding was due to end in September, and there was a good chance that Mosley probably thought that he wasn't going to renew his financial commitment to him. So, he desperate for funds. The Home Office estimates that the BUF's overheads were 40,000 to 80,000 per month, and Mussolini was funding at least 36,000 a month. So the bulk of the BUF was funded by Mussolini. MI5 said that the BUF was essentially reliant upon foreign funds. So the newspaper became avidly pro-Nazi in an attempt to gain funds from Hitler, and there was meetings arranged for that, but Hitler refused to see Mosley. But he did eventually secure funds from Hitler. But that was little to do with anti-Semitism and more to do with two young British aristocratic girls, which is another presentation in itself. But the movement remained pro-Hitler and pro-German and anti-Semitic for the rest of its lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. We have an historical aspect also.